Welcome to San Antonio Sports Motivation Monday. I am Mandy Adkins, and today we have the great pleasure of visiting with softball pitcher Cat Osterman, who is a former three-time National Player of the Year, four-time All-American while at the University of Texas, a two-time Olympic medalist, and six-time Pro All-Star. So Kat, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So those of you who may not know Kat, she has a number of achievements, which include selection as the Big 12 Conference Female Athlete of the Year. She holds the NCAA record for career strikeout ratio per 7 innings. She finished her UT career with a win-loss record of 136 wins and only 25 losses. She led her team to 3 College World Series appearances. She also pitched for the USA national team from 2001 to 2010 and held a 59-4 record. And Kat was inducted into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame in 2012. And in 2014, she became the assistant softball coach at Texas State University. She's also a member of Team USA softball that qualified for the postponed 2020 Summer Olympics. And in May, she joined a new softball pro league under Athletes Unlimited that just completed play, actually. And Kat was crowned the individual champion based on points scored in games played during the 5-week season. So Kat, you are an incredible athlete, an incredible softball player, and we're just so thankful to have you today.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been quite a career, and it's obviously still going. So hopefully we add to that list just a little bit in the next 12 months or so.
Absolutely. So on that note, I know that obviously you, I'm sure, are so disappointed that the Olympics were postponed, as we all are. It seems like there's a lot of uncertainty around the games. How do you deal with the uncertainty both in your training and also what it has meant for your career?
Yeah, so when they were first postponed, there was like a ton of uncertainty. We weren't sure if like our tour was just postponed for a month or a week, a month, a couple months. And then obviously they came out and postponed the Olympics themselves, which then there was rumors of, are they actually going to happen? They have actually come out and said that they will have COVID or not, they will happen. So no matter what, athletes will be able to go over there and compete, which is nice. And they've given us dates for our games and such. So at least now we kind of have an end goal, an end date, where before it was, it took a toll on all of us, because we came home and kept training, not knowing what was going to happen. And you can only, I guess, kick your butt for so long and want answers of like, what's next. And, anybody that's an elite level athlete, we go through different phases of training. And so when you don't know when the end point is, you're not sure when to transition in and out of certain phases. And so, I myself personally, I was really motivated probably for the first 4 or 5 weeks. Don't think I missed a workout here at home. Mixed it up a little bit, obviously not going to gyms and stuff. But after about 5 or 6 weeks, I think my husband even noticed, I just kind of started getting frustrated. And I'd work out, but it wasn't with the same motivation all the time. And, just kind of waiting for the inevitable of all the details. So, working out now, at least we have a structure, we have a plan in place as far as when we actually will play. My personal life kind of had to be juggled around a little bit. If everything had gone like it was planned, I would be retired from playing right now. We wouldn't be talking about having just come home from Athletes Unlimited, but I think there's a silver lining to everything. And the fact that I did get to go play Athletes Unlimited, or that I needed to in order to stay in shape for the Olympics, was kind of one of those, because it was an incredible experience. And I have resigned at Texas State. I did that in May. And the next 12 months are going to be interesting, trying to piece things together just to make some money here and there and figure out how to keep our family going. But, it's one of those things. I think if there's anything I've done over my career, I've been able to handle everything that's thrown at me and juggle juggle multiple 3, 4, 5 different things going on at once.
Right. And what a way, no one could have ever seen this coming. And so you'll definitely, in that last round, it'll definitely be a memorable year, I'm sure. Well, speaking of that, and you touched on this a little bit, but is there any tips or suggestions that you have for people on how you've personally been able to stay motivated?
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, motivation, I'm always somewhat motivated, but some days is higher than others. And some of it also depends on what the workouts throughout the week have been. But I think the biggest thing is no matter what, I've always strived to figure out how to make myself a little bit better every day. And that's in all aspects of my life. So I always try to do something physically, even if it's just go walk the dogs, 2 or 3 miles.
Mhm.
I try to do something because I just know for my body and my mental state that it's important to get moving and to get the heart rate up even a little bit. So for me, it's just figuring out one way to be at least 1% better each day. And so working out to me is part of that. And the other piece is, right now there's so many of us that I know because I talk to my parents, but like, oh, I'll do that when I have time. Well, we've all been home for a while. I think we've all had quite a bit of time. Even if you're working remotely, you still take the time that normally you drive to work or drive home or combine the two, and you have time to do something. So I've just really looked at, kind of the pandemic as a chance to, sometimes I get to do a workout outside of just what my strict training is because I have the time. And maybe it's supposed to be an off day and I'm like, all right, I'll do it with light weights, but let me try, I was doing some shadow boxing for a while because we found an Instagram live that offered them for free for people. And it was really fun because it's something I never would have tried. And me and friends got on Zoom and we're doing it 2-3 times a week. And it was just a way to get active and, juggle it up a little bit. So
That's
I think
awesome.
the motivation comes just from trying to make sure that, you stay healthy, but at the same time, you give your body what it needs.
Right. And touching on that, can you share a little bit about what the relationship is like for you between physical activity and mental health?
Yeah, so for me personally, physical activity is kind of it feeds my mental health, so to speak. I don't really like not being some sort of active because I just feel like then I get almost into, I don't want to say not a depressed state, but just a state of feeling like I didn't accomplish anything today.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, going for a jog or a walk is kind of my mental clarity as well. Obviously, when I'm lifting weights, I'm probably thinking about how heavy they are or how hard the reps are getting or how tired I am. But my walks, jogs, sometimes on a bike, I'll just put headphones on and it's my escape from everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those two things can go hand in hand, I think. And so many people talk about it. It's like, if you feel like you're getting mentally foggy or whatever, finding a way to get 20 to 30 minutes of some type of physical activity tends to start to make us feel a little bit better, get a little happier. I always think of Legally Blonde when she says, working out gives you endorphins, and endorphins make you happy, and happy people don't kill people from the movie exactly. But those endorphins just kind of help reset your mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so true. I've said this multiple times, but everybody in my house is a lot easier to live with when we've all done a little bit of exercise. Well, in that regard, and as an athlete and having a family, how have you kept a positive attitude during this uncertain time?
Like I said, I think the first 4 to 5 weeks was like really easy because for me it was like, okay, I get to be home more, which wasn't on the schedule. Let's make the most of it. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, now when is real life going to pick back up?
Right.
When am I going to be able to, at that time we were all not going anywhere. I'm like, okay, I need to go through Hobby Lobby or something, Target. But I think the other part of that was just the fact it did give us chances to do, like I said, do things we have talked about doing. We ended up doing 2 above ground gardens, had some peppers and zucchini and squash and whatnot going during quarantine. I was able to, with my stepdaughter being at home, for schooling. Her PE class was, outside working out with me, and she really enjoyed it. And I ended up having fun, having her work out with me and stuff. And
That's awesome.
yeah, so just finding different ways for us to connect as a family. And, her schoolwork was usually done by 11 or 12, which sometimes wasn't the best idea because we still had work to do. But just having those extra time to be able to, we painted our bedroom wall. We did some things that, that honeydew list gets really long. And so that way we tackled it together instead of just leaving it there waiting for one person to do it. But
Yeah.
I just kept trying to find different things for us to do. So that way it wasn't Groundhog's Day all over again. And I think that kind of kept some positive outlook going. I also benefit, my husband's probably extremely positive in comparison to me, because normally I'm not. And he would just kind of be like, eventually it's going to be fine. We're going to be okay. And I was like, I know we're going to be okay, but I'm bored out of my mind.
Right.
So that's when I got creative and just found different things to do.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's all about the balance. And so, well, San Antonio Sports' mission is to transform our community through the power of sport. And obviously the power of sport has greatly impacted your life and your career. So can you share some of your thoughts on the power of sport and what it has done for you personally?
Yeah, I've been active since I was young. I think I had a ball in my hand the second that I could walk, but played basketball since third grade, softball since fifth grade. Just always been competitive, and obviously it taught me how to compete, and got the competitiveness out of me. But at the same time, sport has taught me how to be strong, taught me how to kind of thrive and survive as an individual, more so in college and beyond, because pro sports for females is very different than for males. And so our training is a lot on our own, and, you don't just have tons of trainers saying, here, I'll come work with you. So you have to find all that on your own and figure out how to make the most of it. And, but at the same time, it taught me teamwork. It taught me leadership qualities. It really kind of molded me into who I am, because I've always worked hard, but I was not always the most talented. My high school basketball coach used to laugh because she'd come to the junior high, like they always do. So you get introduced, and I'd be like, I'm going to play for you. I'm going to play for you. And she says, I just remember looking at this like 5'5" scrawny thing and going, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do with her. But I was so passionate about it. And I think that's the other thing sport has taught me, because I've played it forever, but I've always wanted to have it part of my life long-term, always. Like, whether it was coaching or playing, I wanted sport in my life, and it gave me a passion and dreams, and then obviously gave me the avenue to be able to reach those dreams. So without sport, I'm not sure what else I'd be doing, to be honest. I guess maybe I would have fulfilled that junior high artist dream at some point, but and that would not have been very lucrative. But yeah, I think it just taught me how to really not only dream, but like really go for your dreams and figure out how to put action behind it and to be able to achieve them.
Awesome. I love that. Well, to wrap us up, and I know you've shared a couple of these throughout our conversation, but are there any silver linings that you have experienced over the last couple of months?
Yeah, so we talked about Athletes Unlimited. For any viewers that didn't catch us on TV, it was a professional endeavor for 5 weeks where it was kind of fantasy sports in real life. So we played, but we earned points based on personal performance and our teams winning innings and games. And so that it was really cool. We lived in kind of we called it a shield because some of our trainers were local, so they could go home, but the rest of us lived in like a bubble, and could only go to the field in our residence back and forth. So that was interesting, but it really gave me a chance not only to compete, and obviously, as you mentioned, I won it, but the 56 athletes that were there, we all grew so close. And some of those girls I never would have crossed paths with if this pandemic hadn't happened. And because of the pandemic, I had to take that opportunity to play, but then I also got to be just kind of, I don't want to say a mentor, but I got to impart my knowledge on those girls, but at the same time, just the younger generation's passion for different things made an impact on me. So after I won, I had to give a speech, and I was just like, they changed my life. And at 37, that's, I don't think, something I really ever thought would happen. So that's one. And then obviously the other is just kind of been able to honestly tackle some of the things that it's like, oh, I wish we had time to do this and I wish we had time to do that. The garden was one of them. We got a pool put in the backyard. That was the first quarter quarantine boredom purchase. But just kind of making our house, it's been home for about 3 years now, but when you move in and you're super busy, the decorations don't all go up. So
Yep.
the living room's decorated, but nothing else is. So the silver lining has just really been able to have time to tackle things that we wouldn't have otherwise. And in the long run, to be honest, I think resigning at Texas State, which had to be part of, my Olympic journey, it's going to give me a little bit more freedom to do some things that my heart really wants to do, as far as being able to reach younger athletes, do some speaking engagements, things that job would have prohibited because of NCAA rules. So
right.
In the long run, I think I'm set up hopefully for some better things in the next 12 months.
Awesome. Well, Kat, we so appreciate your time today, and we will be rooting you on in the next year. And we know that you're an inspiration to all athletes, but especially women athletes, and you have such a great story. And I know that your time investing in younger athletes will just, your legacy is going to live on much past the next year. So we wish you all the best, and just thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.